it's Hailey, and today is Bookmas Day 18, so I'm going to be sharing the book to movie adaptations that are coming out next year, 2022, that we have to look forward to. So before we get into the video, don't forget to click the subscribe button and then the bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post. I'm posting a new video every single day for the entire month of December, so you don't want to miss any of those. And I will also have the playlist link down below for you guys to check out and get caught up. Yesterday for Bookmas Day 17, we talked about 2021 book to movie or TV show adaptations, and today we're going to be talking about 2022 adaptations. And there's actually quite a list here. I always say this when I do the upcoming adaptations video though. The movie industry and like the TV industry is very hard to keep track of when things are going to be coming out because dates change so frequently, especially after COVID. And like with COVID, I feel like there's still kind of some ripple after effects in terms of when books are coming, or when adaptations are coming out rather. So I tried my best. Some of them have been in the works for like years and then almost were gonna happen, and then COVID happened and ruined it. But it's very, very hard to like keep track of all of it. It's very, very hard to try and keep track of all of it, basically is what I'm trying to say. Also, if they like announce that an adaptation or the rights to a book have been sold to X, that doesn't mean that the movie is going to come out that following year. So I focused on things that do have like a possible release date. They have some casting done and all of that. So I hope that clears things up. But without further ado, let's get into it. First, we have Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin. This is actually the prequel to Game of Thrones. I've never watched, well, that's not true. I never watched Game of Thrones because when I was watching the first episode, I saw the direwolves and I knew that they weren't going to survive. So then I was like, nope. And then I didn't end up watching any more of it. But towards the end of the series, like the last season, I got very invested in all the memes that were coming out. So I watched the last few episodes, which is super strange of me, but I was in it for the memes. I don't even know how to describe that. This is coming out on HBO Max, I feel like specifically, but I can't remember who's in it or if it was anyone that has like been in something before, but I haven't really heard all that much buzz about it. I feel like that's partially because of the last season and how people felt about that, so I understand. Next is The Time Traveler's Wife. This is also an HBO adaptation. I feel like this has been adapted into a movie before, but I believe this is now being adapted as a mini series. So it's a boy meets girl story, but one of them is a time traveler. It's an art student and a librarian, and they have this like amazing love story, but I mean, one of them keeps on, you know, slipping in and out of time, which kind of is bound to complicate things a little bit. Next is All Quiet on the Western Front, which is becoming a Netflix adaptation. So I know for sure that this one has been adapted before because that was my first exposure to the story. I haven't read the book before, but we watched the movie in my grade 10 history class, and I just remember it really well. And it has the guy who's from the Waltons in it. My mom really liked to watch the Waltons, so we would watch the Waltons a lot. Probably no one knows what I'm talking about, but it has, is his name Johnny Boy? I can't remember. I don't know, but basically it has like the oldest son from the Waltons. He's also the main character in All Quiet on the Western Front, and it's him like experiencing World War I, and I think it's World War I, and he is like not the kind of person, like he's not made for war. He is, I don't really know how to say that. That's probably not the right way, but he's just like a very gentle, loving sort of person. And then he is forced to go to war, and he is obviously like, it's just his experiences, and it was very haunting because I still remember like specific scenes from it, specifically the ending. Yikes. Next is Peter Pan and Wendy. So this is an adaptation of Peter Pan, obviously, but Disney is actually doing a live action one, which is amazing. So that's really exciting. I'm not sure when it's supposed to come out or anything like that, but I love Peter Pan, so I'm definitely down for another live action one. I remember the other live action adaptation. I don't know if it was Disney, obviously not, I would assume, but the boy who played Peter, like he was older than me at the time, and I feel like he was my first like movie crush because I just thought he was the absolute cutest. Next is The School for Good and Evil. This middle grade series is getting an adaptation, which I think is awesome because I think it definitely lends itself really well to that. Middle grade series just make great like movies or TV shows, honestly. So this one is set in a world where kids keep on getting kidnapped and like no one knows what happens to them, but they actually are going to the School for Good and Evil, which is where you are being taught to be a fairy tale like hero or villain, and the main character is going to the school. So that's like just such an intriguing concept that I'm really excited to see it come to the big screen. Next is Persuasion by Jane Austen. This is getting a Netflix adaptation. So Netflix just does really great adaptations, and I'm really excited to see them do a Jane Austen one. Is this their first Jane Austen one? I don't know if Netflix has any other Jane Austen adaptations. I'm gonna have to look and see. But Persuasion is one of the only Jane Austen books that I haven't read, I believe. I don't think I've read that one, Emma, or Mansfield Park. And those are like the three that I still need to get to. But I don't even know what Persuasion is about. So obviously if I did read it, I don't remember. And I'm not sure who's starring in this, but I definitely know I will be watching it. Next is The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery. This is starring Lucy Hale and Kunal Nayyar. And this is about a bookstore owner. And the bookstore owner's wife died, and he's just not doing really well. His wife died, the bookstore isn't doing very well. And his prized possession, which was like an original manuscript of Poe's poems, it has been stolen. So he just is having a really rough time. But then there's a package that's left on his door, and that like gives him the opportunity to turn things around. And the package is a child. That's not a spoiler, but like it has it on the cover. So it's this kid who's like raised in a bookstore and is like helping this guy out with bettering his life again. It just seems so pure. Next is The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. So this is the author of Room, and I'm kind of confused by the synopsis, I'm not gonna lie, but it's starring Florence Pugh? I don't actually know how to say her last name, I'm sorry. But it's about a girl who stops eating, but she still stays alive. Like she has completely stopped eating and she still is alive. She becomes this marvel that people are like traveling to see as she lives in this small Irish town. I don't really know, like why? Why does she stop eating? But I guess that's what it is. It's the wonder of it all. You're wondering why. So that's where the intrigue is. Next is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. So I'm not holding my breath for this one. I have included this on 3 like next year's adaptations videos because it keeps on getting pushed back. So I don't like, there's a cast now. So I'm kind of like cautiously optimistic, not optimistic, that's not the right word, but a little bit hopeful that things might get going. But the Fanning sisters were cast as the sisters who are playing the main characters in this book, well, adaptation. It's just like apparently it was supposed to get going in 2020, but then it was pushed back because I mean 2020. So now it's just kind of suffered from that, and now I'm like, will it ever happen? But I hope it will. At the same time I don't, because it's gonna break my heart, but it could be really good. There's also an adaptation of Where the Crawdads Sing that is coming out, and this will be a Netflix adaptation. I know this book is really, really popular. I have seen it quite a bit, but it's about, there's like this marsh girl who she's just on her own. She is away from society and is seen as unfit for society. And then there's actually a guy who's murdered, and she ends up becoming the main suspect. Also, there is a cast for the Daisy Jones and the Six adaptation, the TV series. So I don't know if that might get going soon, since there are people who like have signed on for it, so hopefully it will get going soon. But those are all of the 2022 book to movie adaptations that I wanted to share with you guys today. Let me know if I missed any. I'm sure that I did, but I tried my best to do some research and come up with a comprehensive list. But tomorrow for Bookmas Day 19, I'm going to be doing an if you liked this, then you'll like this recommendations video, but it's going to be if you liked whatever book, then you should try out this 2022 new book release. It's really hard to explain that one, but I'm super excited about it, so I hope that you will join me then. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you tomorrow in another one. Bye!